Routine is one of those games that feels like a nightmare dressed up as retro sci-fi. You're wandering an abandoned lunar base built with this eerie 80s vision of the future. Analog computers humming, flickering neon, empty malls floating in silence. It's got that alien vibe where the quiet is almost scarier than the monsters. What makes it tense is how vulnerable you are. There's no health kits, no easy save points. If you screw up, it's permadeath. And the only thing keeping you alive is this little CAT device that acts like a scanner, a hacker, and sometimes a weapon. But it never feels powerful enough when you hear those machines moving in the dark. The enemies here don't follow scripts either. Their AI reacts to the way you move and hide, so every step down a corridor feels like you're being hunted. Add in the minimal HUD, the heavy breathing, the creaks of the metal floor, it just buries you in dread. And that's the real hook of Routine. It's not just about jump scares, it's about paranoia, about feeling like you don't belong in this dead world, but still having to push forward. The game is set to launch late 2025 on Xbox and PC, with day one availability on Game Pass. Is the kind of horror game that doesn't just want to scare you. It wants to crawl under your skin and stay there. The whole thing feels like Half-Life mixed with The Thing, but way darker. You're stuck in rotting environments where every corner looks filthy and alive. And the creatures aren't just monsters. Their bodies twisted into shapes that make you instantly uncomfortable. It's pure body horror, the kind of stuff that makes you want to look away, but can't. You do get weapons, but here's the catch. Not everything can be killed. Some encounters force you to run, hide, or pray the AI doesn't sniff you out. And when you do fight, the destruction feels nasty and real. Wood splinters, glass shatters, blood stains everything. It's messy, chaotic, and designed to make you panic. The sound design is just as cruel. Binaural audio means you hear every scream behind you, every wet bone crack like it's happening in the room. Add in the lack of a safe HUD and it feels like you're actually in there. Ill doesn't lean on jump scares. It's more about the dread of never being safe, about walking into a hallway and already feeling your stomach twist. There's no date yet, but it's coming to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S, and the trailers alone have been called some of the most disturbing ever shown. Reanimal is one of those horror games that mixes creepy atmosphere with real emotional weight. You play as a brother and sister stranded on an island that feels alive with nightmares. The world is broken, twisted, and full of grotesque creatures that look like they've been shaped from the siblings' own trauma. It's made by the studio behind Little Nightmares, and you can tell they're going way darker this time. The big hook is that it's fully co-op. You and a friend can play together, working as the two siblings, sneaking through hostile areas, solving puzzles, and covering each other during tense escapes. And if you're solo, the AI takes over the second character, which honestly makes it scarier. You're constantly worried about whether they'll hold up when you're separated. The game even gives you a boat for traveling around, but every trip across those waters feels like something could be waiting just beneath the surface. What makes it work is how personal it all feels. The monsters aren't just random designs, they feel connected to the story, like physical versions of fear and memory chasing the characters down. That makes the scares hit harder, because it's not only about survival, it's about carrying their pain with you the whole way through. Reanimal is set to release in the first quarter of 2026 on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PC, and Nintendo Switch.
You saved my life and laid claim to my soul. In turn, I shall save your soul by claiming the life of your old self.
Who was that? What is this place?
This way.
We better get going.
A good day is always an extraordinary day. An extraordinary day is an always good day. With that in mind, today's a bit too extraordinary.
So this is where you are. I wondered where you had gone. You need to start getting ready. It's time to say your goodbyes. You're going to kill them with your own hands.
What's going on? No, it's got my home too. The halls, the doors, everything's changed. Tell me, who are you? Please. Just die.
Silent Hill F takes the series somewhere completely new, right into 1960s Japan. Instead of the usual foggy American town, you're exploring Ebisugaoka, a place that feels quiet on the surface, but hides something rotten underneath. You play as Hinako, a regular high school girl who gets pulled into this nightmare, and that's what makes it hit harder. She's not a cop or a soldier, just someone ordinary trying to survive. The horror here leans into Japanese folklore and psychological dread. It's not about big guns or explosions, it's about the tension of being vulnerable. Combat is up close and rough, using improvised weapons like pipes and scythes, so every encounter feels dangerous. And the monsters? They're grotesque but strangely beautiful, designed to mess with your head as much as your eyes. What really sells it is the atmosphere. The soundtrack mixes eerie Japanese instruments with children's choirs and unsettling ambience. Walking through these streets feels less like exploring and more like drifting deeper into someone else's nightmare. Add in writing from Ryukishi07, the mind behind Higurashi, and you know the story is going to twist you in ways you won't expect. Silent Hill F releases on September 25th, 2025 for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Will Follow the Light is less about monsters jumping at you and more about the kind of horror that comes from being alone with your thoughts. You play as Will, a lighthouse keeper whose life falls apart when his son goes missing, and the only way forward is to set off across the icy northern seas to find him. The world you move through is harsh and isolating. Frozen islands, abandoned villages, and waters that feel endless, like they're swallowing you whole. The gameplay is grounded and slow in a way that makes every step feel heavy. You'll be sailing a small boat through rough waters, dog sledding across frozen landscapes, and exploring ruined places that echo with memories. There's no superpowers here, no flashy combat, just the weight of the journey and puzzles tied to the environment. It feels closer to Firewatch or Alan Wake, where the dread comes from atmosphere and silence, and the way the world reflects the character's grief. The horror isn't about gore, it's about being trapped in a landscape that feels alive, pressing down on you while you deal with regret and the bond between father and son. Even the music leans into that mood, mixing experimental sounds with quiet melodies that keep you uneasy. Will Follow the Light is planned for 2025 on PC, PS5, Xbox.
The Renwood Hotel. I know that's where your mother was murdered. Alyssa died 8 years ago. Perhaps it's time for you to face the past. Grace.
What is this?
Stay close. They're coming.
I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for. The special one. The chosen one. Miss Ashcroft.
Investigating all these strange deaths, huh?
We need to keep our voices down.
Have you seen the same shit I've seen?
Please know that you are my hope.
Everyone's gone.
Stay away from that!
Resident Evil 9 Requiem feels like Capcom going back to pure horror roots. It drops you into Raccoon City again, but this isn't the city you remember. It's 30 years after the nuclear strike, and the ruins are still smoldering with memories. You play as Grace Ashcroft, an FBI tech analyst who doesn't feel like a superhero at all. She's quiet, unsure, and that makes every step through this wrecked city feel more dangerous, because you're seeing the nightmare through the eyes of someone who isn't built for it. The game mixes psychological terror with survival. You're stalked by something that doesn't just attack head-on. It vanishes, reappears, and hunts you like alien isolation or amnesia. You'll be creeping through ruined hospitals, crouching under tables, tossing bottles to distract it, or clutching a flashlight that makes you feel safer but also paints a target on you. And the choice between first person and third person just adds to it. You can get right up in the fear, or pull back a little when it's too much. The RE engine makes it all brutal. Ray-traced lighting throws shadows that feel alive. Faces sweat and twitch with tiny details, and the ruined city looks like a place that's been rotting for decades. It's the kind of horror where you don't just jump, you feel your stomach sink. Resident Evil 9 Requiem launches February 27th, 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Halloween the game puts you right in the middle of Haddonfield, and it's all about the tension of being hunted. You can step into the shoes of Michael Myers himself, stalking the neighborhood in that slow, unstoppable way that makes him so terrifying. Or you can play as the people just trying to survive the night. It's not about guns blazing or cheap jump scares. It's about hiding in the shadows, cutting off phone lines, warning neighbors, and doing whatever you can to outsmart him before he finds you. The vibe is straight out of the 1978 classic. Autumn leaves on the streets, the music creeping in at the worst moments, and that sense that Michael could be watching you from anywhere. And the best part? It's not just multiplayer. There's a full single player mode too, so even if you're playing alone, you'll still feel the dread of being hunted. IllFonic, the team behind Friday the 13th, the game is leading development, and John Carpenter himself is overseeing it, which makes it feel authentic to the original film. Built in Unreal Engine 5, it's got that sharp, cinematic look while keeping the slow burn horror that makes Halloween what it is. The game is set to release in 2026 on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 throws you into a snow-covered Seattle that looks beautiful on the surface, but feels rotten underneath. You play as Fire, a centuries-old vampire waking up to a city caught between mortal politics and the hidden world of the undead. It's not just about feeding to survive, it's about finding your place in a society where every shadow hides a secret, and every ally could turn into prey. The horror here isn't just in the monsters you face, it's in the choices you make. You pick a clan, each one giving you distinct powers: brutal strength, psychic manipulation, blood sorcery, or stealth. And because the city is split into districts, every move you make shifts how mortals and other vampires see you. You're powerful, sure, but you're also outnumbered, and the wrong choice can make Seattle itself feel like it's against you. What really makes it unique is Fabian, the detective voice living in your head. Sometimes you'll even step back into his shoes in flashbacks set in the 1920s, seeing the city's past bleed into its present. That split between characters keeps you unsettled, like you're never fully in control of your own story. The game's had a rocky road, changing studios and even sparking controversy around locked clans, but the atmosphere still drips with that neo-noir dread that makes Vampire what it is. Bloodlines 2 is finally set to release on October 21st, 2025 for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Clive Barker's Hellraiser revival looks like the kind of horror game that doesn't just creep you out, it dares you to look away. You play as Aiden, chasing after his girlfriend after she unlocks the infamous puzzle box, and that choice drags you straight into a world where pain and pleasure blur together. This isn't a safe haunted house ride, it's pure Hellraiser, full of chains, blood, and things that should never have a shape. The game leans hard into body horror. We're talking flayed skin, hooks tearing into walls, and Cenobites stepping out of the dark like they've been waiting for you. And it's not just visuals. Doug Bradley is back as Pinhead, bringing that chilling voice that makes every line feel like a death sentence. Hearing him whisper in Unreal Engine 5's detail while chains rattle around you is about as close as you can get to living a nightmare. What makes it different is the focus on survival. It's a story-driven single-player horror, not a co-op or action game, and that keeps the tension personal. You're vulnerable, lost in places that shift between real-world spaces and hell itself. Nightclubs turning into torture chambers, hospitals bleeding into labyrinths. It feels like the movies, but crueler, because now you're the one trapped in it. Hellraiser Revival is set to release in 2026 on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Crisol Theater of Idols is one of the strangest and most disturbing horror games on the way. You play as Gabriel, a soldier wandering through a cursed version of Spain, where your own blood is both your health and your weapon. Every time you load a bullet, it drains you. Every shot you fire literally costs a piece of your life, which means pulling the trigger is always a gamble. The enemies only make it worse. They're these statue-like saints with broken, twitching bodies, and you can't just blast them away. Even chopping a head off won't stop them unless you hit their weak points. And then there's Dolores, this towering animatronic matriarch who just won't die. You don't fight her, you hide, praying she passes by without noticing. The world itself feels like a nightmare museum, soaked in religious horror and twisted folklore. Churches and icons are warped into grotesque monuments, like something caught between BioShock and Bloodborne. The whole place makes you feel small, guilty, and constantly hunted. Crisol Theater of Idols is set to release in 2025 for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC.